What's up, everybody? This is Jason back with Campbell's Morel Music Rig Rundown. We just decided this is episode 39, whether it is or not, but I think it is. We're going with episode 39.
39.
And this is a continuation of my goal to have every bass player within a 2-hour radius on this rig rundown. Maybe we're probably going to expand that to a 4-hour radius so we can start reaching some larger markets and stuff.
Definitely.
But we're going to have every bass player that I can think of in here to do a rig rundown because they're the most important people in the band. They hold it all together. And as Andrew said, he said that I was like the most important person in the band or something. I can't remember. But anyways, getting back on point. Bass player, it's been a long time coming because Derek's finally got his rig together, and he just basically works across the street. We've been talking about this since we started this series. And so Derek Thomas,
Yes, sir.
of the band Death Nebula.
Nebula. Yes, sir. Death Nebula.
Out of Asheville. Mm-hmm. But he's local.
I am.
And thanks for finally joining us on
Yes,
this
sir.
thing.
I'm stoked. I'm glad to be
You got
here.
a rig together now you're happy with.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming for sure.
And so I see Derek all the time in here trading. We've traded and we've upgraded, and sometimes this is what you got to do as a musician. You got to work your way to get what you want.
Definitely.
And Derek's always got some really cool basses, and 5 strings, 6 strings, and more strings than I can play. But he can play them. I've heard him.
I try.
Man, is this the? Let's see. This is the. The 6 string.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll just start with this one, and you talk all about it, and see what I don't even know what's in this thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So this is a Johnson Catalyst 6 string. I got this bass originally when I was like 19. I ordered it on eBay, and it was local, which I paid shipping for it to ship from Kingsport to Piney Flats. So whatever. But what was interesting about it is at the time I didn't really know how to play a 6 string. I was kind of an amateur at that point, and I didn't know what I got when I got it. I only paid like $300 for it, but it's got US Bartolini pickups in it, and at the time it had an EMG EQC preamp, and
which that alone is probably worth $300.
Exactly. So I had it, didn't really play it. Played a few projects. Ended up trading it away. So I trade a lot of gear to get what I need, but traded it away, and a couple years go by, and I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, I really want a 6 string again, because I had been playing 5 strings exclusively for 2 years at that point. And I was like, I really, really want another 6 string. So I started, just months go by, just scrolling through Marketplace. I see one same model stock, and then this one pops up on Marketplace. And I'm like, no way. And I tell Des about it, and I'm like, hey, there's this bass that I used to have is on sale at Marketplace. And she was like, well, do something about it. So I messaged the guy, and I'm like, hey, I've got a couple of guitars that I'm not really using. Would you be willing to trade? And the guy was like, let me think about it. Not even 10 minutes go by, and this guy calls me back. He's like, you know what? You seem like a good guy. I'm going to give it to you. I'm like, do you want anything for it? And he's like, no, I'm just going to give it to you. So I go meet him a couple days later, and he gives me this bass absolutely free of charge, just because I guess he wanted to. And I've had it ever since. And that was, I don't even remember how long ago that was. I've had it since probably the spring now of this year. But
so that bass come back to you, so it's meant to be.
It's meant to be for sure, definitely. But I had it, and I didn't play it a lot because, honestly, I wasn't really happy with the electronics. And I was like, I just want to put a dark glass tone capsule in something. So I ended up buying one when I bought some of this gear, and brought it up here to Campbell's, and Tyler put it in there. He added, he drilled a hole for an additional pot because it only had a slot for 2 EQ pots, and he drilled a hole for another one for another volume, and then he also added an active passive switch. That way, if I'm in a pickle and the battery dies or whatever, because it's running 18 volts, so if the battery dies, I can just flip that off. Granted, I lose my preamp, but it's there. And this bass is just incredible. You know, for a cheap little bass with basically no name, it plays good. The neck is straight. It's one of the most comfortable 6-strings you'll ever put your hands on. Like, it's like, I've had people compare it to like Ibanez's, but like, in my opinion, in comparison to the Ibanez 6-strings, it's like far better. Like, just playability, tone, like everything. It's really
and then,
nice.
Like, how do you tune the 6-string?
This one is actually in drop G, so it's a full step down from standard and then dropped on the lowest note. So it's G, B, G, C, F, A sharp is how this one's tuned, it's low.
It's low.
It's low, and it's got like a standard gauge string set on it.
Yeah.
And it holds. I don't like super tight tension on my basses, and I play in drop tunings anyways.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it loose enough to where I can do what I need to, but I like the action low. I like it loose, so I can really move around on the neck really quick.
And I noticed you got that fret wrap up there, just to kill some overtones.
Yeah, for sure. And I use those on all my basses, so I've got one on this one as well.
And you do a lot of tapping.
I do.
As well.
I do a lot of tapping.
Helps
Yeah.
with that.
Yes, for sure.
Man, let's just kind of see what this bass sounds like.
Sure, for sure. So I've got it kind of set up right now. The bass is cranked pretty good. The low mid is just turned up a little bit, and I've got the treble. No, it's not treble. It's high mid. Technically, is how they do the dark glass preamp. But it's set at flat, so it's not really, you know. Super
it's
punchy,
gnarly, yeah.
it's gnarly. And then of course when I, bypass that preamp, it's just it still sounds good with those bars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really
That's a
killer.
great sounding
Yeah.
setup there.
Definitely.
I like it's how you got a lot of low end, but it's like clear. It's in that it's not muddy at all. So.
Yeah, definitely.
And that probably a point to do with the way you got your amps set up.
Yes,
and
definitely.
All this stuff
Definitely.
too. And Death Nebula. Y'all ain't checked them out. We had a guitar player here, Scott.
Scott, yeah.
Been maybe a month or so ago.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
And he still has the most elaborate setup of anybody we've had on here. So
Yeah.
yours is a little bit more clean line.
It's a little straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess y'all described the music last time as like acid.
Acid doom.
Doom,
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's a good description.
It's very so much so. I had a buddy. I showed him some of our music, and he looked at me and he said, "You know what? Your name for your band describes exactly how I would expect your music to sound.
Yeah.
A band called Death Nebula sounds exactly how they should." So, yeah.
That works out.
Yes,
then.
sir. Absolutely.
Lots of effects, lots of things going on in the background, and
Yeah.
and just probably you and the drummer holding down the.
That's what we do. We
Yeah.
hold down that rhythm section for sure. But see, where the way that I play is like I kind of literally float. So I will follow the lead sometimes. I'll follow the rhythm. I'll follow Horton on drums. Like I just sit perfectly in the mix and I play what's needed, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I try to add accents and body to the music, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's really important as a bass player too. You don't.
Definitely.
I mean, you got guitar players to
Yeah.
do the fancy work, you know,
Right.
but you still need to have a presence there, but
Right,
do
exactly.
what's needed.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
You want to talk about the other guitar, or do you want to go into the rig first?
Let's
get to the guitar.
I'm gonna switch to that one real quick actually,
right.
because that's my baby.
And you're running a wireless unit.
I am running. I run a Nux wireless unit. It's phenomenal. I was running a Boss WL20 for a while, but that one had it would cut out if I traveled, and I don't like to stand on the stage a whole lot.
Yeah.
So it would, if I walked anywhere more than 15 feet away from the stage, I would be
Cutting out.
cutting out. Yeah, this one gives a really strong, solid signal. I walk all over the practice space with it. We have a pretty decent sized practice space, so I walk all over the practice space. I've played one show with it so far. Unfortunately, we had to back out of our last show due to complications within the band, but it's a good wireless for sure. I highly recommend getting it if you can afford it for sure. But now this bass.
This is the one.
Yeah, this is my go-to. This is a 2001 Warwick Thumb bolt-on. My buddy Ian had it before the guy that I got it from, and he sold it to him, and then I found it. So I had that dingwall that I got from you guys, and I just could not get comfortable with it to save my life. And I had the Corvette that I traded towards the dingwall, and I just knew that I had to go back to Warwick, and I wanted a Thumb from the get-go. You know, I told my buddy Harley, I was like, if I get another Warwick, it's going to be a Thumb. And I would just decided that I wanted to sell the dingwall, had a buyer interested up in Canada, and found this one local-ish. It was in Maryville.
Yeah.
So, homie, I hit him up and I was like, hey man, I'm interested in buying this. I'm selling one of my basses, like I'll, whatever. And my beloved wife ended up meeting him because I had to work. So she ended up meeting him for me while I was working. And the coolest feature about this bass, outside of like the upgrades of the electronics and stuff, is it's signed by the one and only Ryan Martini. And if you don't know who that is, that's the bass player for Mudvayne or Soften the Glare. He's done a lot of studio work. He's excellent musician. He's one of my favorite bass players that I've ever witnessed. I take a lot of inspiration from him. But this bass, it's a 5-string. It's bolt on, excuse me. It's got instead of the stock MEC electronics, it's got EMG pickups and the same preamp that one used to have, the EMG EQC. So the way that the EMG EQC works is this one's got a stack knob for bridge and neck volume, and then it's got mid cut and boost with a mid frequency selector, and then it's got the treble and the bass. It's super dope. It's a really killer sounding instrument. Its body is insane. This thing growls like no other. It's insane how low this thing and growly it is. It's burpy and it's beautiful.
And you tuned about the same?
This one is in A standard, so basically the same, but instead of dropping that A string, it's in standard. So it's a full step down from standard tuning on a 5-string.
I got you.
So it's A, D, G, C, F is how it's tuned.
Yeah.
And this is my workhorse.
Just as low as this one. It's like,
This one, this is my main workhorse. So that's like my play around goof off bass. This one's like the one that I play shows and I record and all that stuff with. So
yeah, I mean, if y'all haven't played a Warwick, they're great. I think we still got your Corvette.
Yeah, the Corvette's over there.
So if y'all want to go try one, we got one for sale, and it's great.
It's a great instrument for sure.
So yeah, the main workhorse, and then finally you upgraded to all your equipment into the amp you've been wanting.
Yes, for sure.
And you've built it into a nice rack system. Absolutely. So you can kind of talk about how you got it set up here.
Yeah. So what I've got here is I've got a 4U rack unit. I've got the Furman power conditioner. It's the PL plus C. It's got these really cool pull-out lights. It has a voltmeter. It tells you when you're overpowering everything, which I probably never will because I'm only running 3 things out of it. But under that, I've got the Korg Pitch Black Pro. I got that from a buddy on Facebook, Roy Beatty. He's with a really popular band called Enox. I made a post and was like, hey, does anybody have a tuner for sale? And he was like, I've got an extra one. So I thought that was super cool. He shipped it to me for $100 flat.
Yeah.
And then under that is the Magnum Opus, the Dark Glass Microtubes X900. So I've a few years ago I had the X Ultra pedal and I loved it, and I sold it like an idiot. I had a few dark glass pedals. I had a B7K Ultra V2. I had 2 harmonic boosters because why not? Had an Alpha Omega, and then of course I had the X Ultra, and traded those all the way for the Head Rush. And tone chased for 2.5 years with that Head Rush. Could not find something that I liked, and was going to get a different modeling pedal, and then decided, as like literally, the moment they announced that, I walked into this store. I said, "Jason, please order me this head," and within 2 days it came in, and I've had it ever since, and it is.
Yes, it is the latest and greatest from Dark Glass.
Yes, it's beautiful. I don't even know how many people have them so far. I think I'm the only one in the region that has one now.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else.
Yeah.
We're the only one. We're one of the only people that carry Dark Glass stuff.
I think you may be the only one. I'm not sure.
I don't know. You can't see this on camera, but he's got his master volume on maybe 1.
Yeah.
There's no numbers, but it's barely open.
Yeah.
And so you're coming out of the Dark Glass and these 2 cabinets here. And
Yes.
What are they?
So this is a GK Neo 410 pushing 800 watts. This was yours. The wife got it for me for Christmas last year. It's an incredible cab. It's gigged with me a lot. I've taken it on the road. I've practiced with it. It's lightweight enough where I can take it back and forth from Asheville to Johnson City and wherever I need to go if I want to jam with people. And then under that, it was a GK cabinet, which I guess technically it still is, but when I was 20, I bought a GK stack and blew it at Harley's house, and ended up keeping both the cabs and was going to do something with them eventually. Had a buddy who had this vintage Trace Elliott 18-inch just laying around, and he was like, "Do you want that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, heck yeah, I want that." So he routed it out for me and slapped that speaker in it, and I think I paid $150 for all that, for him to route it out and do all that and install it. And I've had it ever since. That cab has went with me everywhere. That thing is incredible. Like, that thing by itself will rattle windows. Like, when I first got it and I brought it home, I was outside in the driveway of my mom's house, and I plugged it up to a little 300-watt Hartkey head, and it was rattling the second floor windows of the house, and I was in the driveway.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So that cab really adds that low end that I really like to have in my setup. So like for live shows, like yes, I've got the punch of the 410s and I've got the tweeter set to maybe 1 or 2, just a little emphasis on the high ends and that clarity. But then that 18 really adds that just low end rattle for sure. Yeah. And it's that whole setup, like it's.
Yeah, got to have that as a bass player.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of like combining like 410s with a 15 or even an 18 as we hear it and stuff. That it's just so much, tonal options there.
Definitely,
with that.
For sure.
And then the only other gear, I guess, was just the foot switch for the amp, which you can cut on and off the.
So I can mute the amp, or I can switch from the dirty tone to the clean tone. Which really showcases like how burpy this bass really is in that clean EQ.
Yeah, and it showcases Dark Glass too, is like, because every video you see is nothing but dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
And like some Swedish metal dude out there.
Yeah, for sure.
But they actually clean up really well and sound great as a vintage sounding amp.
Definitely.
As well as a modern sounding amp. So they're one of the most versatile amps out there.
What I love the most about this amp is it has a built-in clean compression that you can activate. So like you can turn the volume and so you can adjust the clean compression so it can like really just like So like it really just adds that extra emphasis if you really want to like be heard with that clean tone. It's really good, and it's a really awesome feature with this head. It's got, the high pass filter and the low pass filter. Same thing as what the X Ultra has.
Yeah.
So it kind of really dials in exactly where you want those cutoffs to be for the high pass and the low pass. And then it's got built-in compression for that dirty drive, so you can really and as you can see, I've basically got it turned all the way. It's at like 1 or 2 notches below full power, just because I really like to have that super tight compressed sound.
Yeah. And for everybody else that don't know, Dark Glass 2 we're running direct out for this video purposes, so it's going to sound great.
Absolutely.
We're talking about the Dark Glass head, how versatile it is,
right?
With the cab simulations on the back. You got a direct out. You got 3 options to store cab simulations. You can get on their app and pick whatever you want. You said you had an artist series,
yes,
and so not only are you running cabs on stage, you're giving the front of the house a cab simulation that sounds the way you want it to out there.
Exactly.
And
like I was saying, I practice a lot in the headphones. And it's got aux in, so you can listen to music while you're practicing or whatever tracks you need to practice to. It's got the headphone in or out or whatever. And then it's got the cab simulation that you can select through and also have it in your in-ears. You can also bypass it. So if you don't want a cab sim, you just want straight amp tone, you can bypass the cab sim completely. But I prefer the cab sim, obviously, because it just
feels better.
Exactly. It just gives that dimension that you really want. And honestly, I feel like the cab sim that I use, I feel like it captures my live sound pretty well. So it's I try to get it as accurate as I can to what I'm putting out in the live audience versus what's going out into the PA or whatever with DI. So
like if your band, for instance, like they come up with a new riff or an idea, like they record it, they can send it to you, you can listen, and you can try to figure out something at home and not drive to Asheville and figure it out.
Exactly. And it's
pretty cool.
Yes, definitely.
And Dark Glass, they got a passive active switch. Of course, most modern amps do nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check it. I mean, Derek comes, like you said, he's had amps. Then he went to the digital model world with the
and the headrush pedal.
The headrush pedal.
Yeah.
Which is a great pedal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And but now back to analog, and we're all on that constant just swinging door effect thing.
Yes, for sure.
And but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. The only thing I'm missing now is a reverb.
Every bass player needs reverb, and that man behind the camera agrees.
He does. I can see him shaking his head. Yes, right now.
Yeah, like every bass player has to have reverb, and every good band is the reason they're good is because of the bass player.
Yeah.
We're talking about having like we had that roundtable discussion.
Yeah.
We're going to do all bass players.
I would.
So we'll get the big table and we'll just
sign me up.
But yeah, let's see. Death Nebula. Yeah, definitely check out Death Nebula.
Definitely.
And any other thing you're working on, or is that the main project for now?
Well, I've got a couple of different projects in the works right now. So obviously Death Nebula is my main project. We're working on an album right now. We're kind of in limbo. We had to part ways with our vocalist recently. So we're currently without one. So we're just kind of sitting on a whole album worth of material. But then I have another couple of projects going on, which is what that bass is for, because they're lower tuned. So obviously Death Nebula is the acid doom. It's trippy, it's vibey, it has heavy attributes. It's really good. But like, I've always had an itch to just play something that's so disgustingly heavy that it makes you just disgust face the whole time. So I've got a couple of projects in the works with that. One's already established. I just haven't had a chance to sit down with them yet. And the other one is we're starting from the ground up.
Yeah.
So, but both projects are packed full of absolutely mind-blowing talented musicians. And I'm very stoked to broaden my horizons as a musician and really play some stupid heavy music.
Oh, yeah.
I really feel like, especially in this area, like, there's not enough. Like, there are some heavy bands around here. Like, they're more in Knoxville and Nashville and all that. Like, as far as like the Tri-Cities goes, Now I could be wrong. Now correct me if I'm wrong. But if there's not like there needs to be more like just heavy music in the
Heavy
Tri-Cities.
sludge and-
Definitely some real
Yeah.
stupid stuff.
Yeah. No, I love it. What's the band I'm thinking of? Mammoth. And that song Pelican.
Yes.
That's when I think of heavy, that was just like, that just,
Yeah.
I can't imagine seeing that live. Probably rearrange your chromosomes or whatever. But I love heavy.
Absolutely.
I guess, we don't have to talk about how much Derek shops here because he shops here a lot because he
do.
works across the street.
I do. I get off work and I walk across the street. Yeah.
And we appreciate you doing this thing.
Of course.
Talking to us. And if you just want to play your hearts out and we'll kind of fade you out. And
Sounds good.
yeah,
Sounds
see what this
good.
work can do. Heck yeah. Sounds about like what I do in Dallas for Cowboys, don't they? If y'all ever see me doing that, I'll have way too much bourbon. But, man, that sounds awesome.
Yes,
Crowley, clarity, and low end, all, you've got it dialed in really nice.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Derek Thomas, Death Nebula, man, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It's been a long time coming, for
Yeah,
sure.
we've been talking about this since we started. haven't we?
Yes. And I just had to build this thing to get it going.
Yeah.
Which
So-
this man's helped me a lot. So definitely, if you're a bass player in the area and you need gear, talk to this guy for sure. He's taken care of me in a lot of ways. Most of this gear I've got from him. Rat case I got from him. Cab I got from him. Head I got from him. They worked on my bass. Just all around, these people will take care of you. Definitely come out to Campbell's for sure.
Appreciate that for
Yes,
sure.
sir.
Yeah, so I guess we're out of here.